Let's cross up to Queensland now and catch up with the founder of Pauline Hanson's One Nation, Pauline Hanson herself. Thanks for joining us, Pauline. First up, I want to get your response to this incredibly expensive, incredibly generous, historic JobKeeper payment system. Do you think this is welcome? Do you think this is going to work? And do you think this is worth paying for over the next decades?
Chris, we have to do it. A lot of people are actually hurting, they're in pain, they lost their jobs, and it's a way of keeping the economy going. These people had no choice. You know, they lost their jobs, companies are closing down, the government's forced different businesses to shut down, so we have to back these people. And I have no problem with it. It's going to take us a long, long time, probably a couple of generations, to actually pay back this debt, if we will ever pay it back. But it's something we have to do. Well,
that's the issue, isn't it? And of course, if we knew this was all going to be over and fine in 1 month, it's a no-brainer, you'd do this. But the point is, not only the longer this goes on, the more it's going to cost, but it also reduces your confidence that everything will bounce back more quickly at the end of it. But if it does work, by keeping people connected to their employer as well as giving them a living wage, it should be life-saving, shouldn't it?
It will be, not only that with the businesses that they're propping up the businesses, and that's my main concern. Because small business, they employ the majority of people in the country. If we don't look after the small business, and Chris, as I've said before, I've been a small business person most of my life. I know that you have your tough times and you keep, you know, keep at it and you put in the long hours. But when you have with things one after the other and you think, what's the point anymore? I'm going to fold. That's what we can't afford to do. If we lose those small businesses, my main concern is industries and manufacturing. We will be importing more of our product from overseas. The government should be getting behind industries, manufacturing, to encourage Australians to actually start up that industry and manufacturing. That may be a little bit further down the track. But
it certainly shows us
create employment in the country.
Yeah, it certainly shows how we need to be more self-reliant. I want to show you a clip of Australians who have been forced into quarantine when they come back to this country. Some people are taking it very well. They say, you know, a couple of weeks in a hotel is okay for the national good. Others, though, are complaining.
Food is just left on a bench. We don't have a bin or anything. There's no windows or anything like that. We can't get fresh air.
We understand it's a tough situation everywhere in the world, but you know, you have to.
It's just not fair on the kids.
I mean, Pauline Hanson, look, it is tough. It would be frustrating, but people are dying, people are sick, people are losing their jobs and their businesses. I would have thought you'd just suck it up, wouldn't you?
Of course you would. Chris, I think these people are very selfish. They've been given the opportunity to come back into the country. The fact is that most of our infections have come from people that have come in from overseas or from the cruise ships. We know that for a fact. They have no consideration for anyone else. Okay, it's not home, but it's only for a couple of weeks at the cost to the taxpayer. I'd say stop your damn whinging. You made the choice to come back to Australia. They could have come back before that, sooner, but they didn't. They chose to come back at this time. So I've got no sympathy for them whatsoever. We found that people that we've allowed them to get off the ship and go straight to home, they had the coronavirus. So, like I said, I've got no sympathy for them whatsoever.
Now, another thing I wanted to get your thoughts on was the so-called Daigous, or the Chinese organised groups that we know have operated in this country and around the world, sourcing material to send back to China. It's a well-organised social media sort of marketing campaign. They get supplies into China, evade tax and the like. And there's a lot of evidence around. We saw some of it shown on A Current Affair on the 9 network last night. They've been operating throughout Australia in recent times, getting critical equipment back to China, where, of course, it's wanted, whether it's toilet paper or face masks and the like. But this is stuff we need here.
You're absolutely correct. And it was going on for many months and years to do with the baby powder.
Yeah, the powdered milk is still going, of course. There's been a lot of complaints about this.
Correct.
But this,
it's still going there.
This is contributing to shortages here now.
Of Correct, and the government did nothing about it then. These people should be actually, when they send stuff back home, what I understand there's about 40,000 in the country, and they're buying this and they're sending it back. So there could be foreign students or people that are living here, and they're actually sending it back home. I have grave concerns about it. If you're going to send a parcel back home and you actually have to sign a declaration, if that's found to have items in it that should not be leaving the country, they should be heavily fined. If they're a foreigner, then send them back. Get them out of the country. We don't want people like this. When I see Australians struggling to be able to buy the product that we need here, and again, you've got to think further down the track. A lot of these industries that make these products have actually shut down, so they're not producing. So we've got to look in the long term. So if we find people that are sending it out of the country, they should be heavily fined, or, as I said, get rid of them.
Well,
get them out of the country. You've got to get tough on these areas.
Well, I think it's crucial. And Kate McClymont, the famous, well-known investigative reporter at the Sydney Morning Herald, she's revealed quite a bit about this in recent weeks. She's focused on Chinese-owned property company Greenland Group that's actually allegedly been getting its own employees to get around and source in this material, face masks, surgical gloves and the like, and send it back to China where it's needed. Now, this is obviously against Australia's national interests. I don't think there's anything illegal about it. Do you think we need to look at somehow policing this or passing new laws?
Chris, I raised this question on the floor of Parliament when we did our free trade agreements, and I said, do you realise that we are actually allowing these Chinese into the country, they're buying up all our dairying, and I said, any product that we need for our own needs in Australia, say we became short of food, and I said, there is nothing in our laws to stop them from exporting back to their own country, even if Australia needs it. They couldn't answer my question, and that is the case. We cannot stop them from exporting this. So governments need to actually start doing something about it, considering the situation we are in at the moment. As far as I'm concerned, protect our own country, protect our own needs of supplies, whether it be food, medical supplies, everything else that this country needs for the Australian people, and we need to clamp down very, very hard on it.